If I have you for just a few seconds, I'd like to leave you with one thought. Research has shown that men who kiss their partners in the morning get to live 5 years longer than men who don't do that. I'm not saying that their spouses will kill them 5 years sooner. It's just one of many weird love things from this episode. You want to hear more? Well, historically, sweat has been used as an active ingredient in perfumes. Some individuals who have never felt romantic love suffer from a rare disease called hypopituitarism. It's a rare disease that doesn't allow the person who has it to feel the rupture of love. Love, in the sense of no score in tennis, dates from 1792 and means playing for love or for nothing, for no score. Other scholars claim that love as a tennis scoring system is a corruption of the French word for egg, l'œuf, because of the egg's resemblance to a zero. In Bali, men believe that a woman would fall in love with you if you fed her a certain type of lift incised with the image of a god who sported a very large ding-dong. Engagement rings are often worn on the fourth finger on your left hand because the ancient Greeks believed that that finger had the vena amoris, or the vein of love that runs straight from your finger to your heart. And the first recorded wedding rings appear in ancient Egypt with a circle representing eternity and of course the gods for sun and moon. If rejection is not bad enough on itself, for a short period of time while you go through mourning, it lowers your IQ levels, meaning you take bad decisions while you are recovering after a breakup. That checks out. Getting dumped often leads to frustration attraction, which causes the dumped to love the dumpee even more than he or her did before getting dumped. Though being in a relationship comes with its downsides, it's worth suffering through those melancholy moments just to reap the many benefits that love has to offer. At the end of the day, being in love can be so rewarding, emotionally of course, but even on a physical level. It has the capacity to reduce stress, speed the healing process, and even lengthen your lifespan. And in this episode, I'm going to show you a dozen motives to stay in a relationship or find one. Falling in love is like being on drugs. That feeling of euphoria you feel when you fall in love is the same feeling, or very similar to the feeling, that some illegal substances are experienced by people. According to one study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, both actions trigger the release of happy hormones like dopamine, oxytocin, and adrenaline, giving you a natural high. Hugging your partner is a stress reliever. One study conducted by psychiatrists at the University of North Carolina found that when couples embraced, they had increased levels of oxytocin, the hormone responsible for lower stress levels and mood boosts. Also, a happy heart is a healthy heart. Being in a loving relationship impacts your life for the better, both emotionally and physically. According to one meta-analysis of more than 3.5 million people, married individuals up to the age of 50 were 12% less likely to experience vascular diseases compared to their divorced or singles counterparts. Being in love is the number one reason people wed, but it's not the only reason. According to a 2013 survey from the Pew Research Center, about 9 in 10 of all Americans cited love as an important reason to get married. 9 out of 10. So there was one. Still, it was compared to just 28% of people who said that financial stability was an important factor in whether a couple should wed. Today, remarriage is becoming more popular. Divorce is becoming more popular also. But divorce should get an episode on its own. Now more than ever, divorced individuals are finding love and happiness with new partners and remarriages. In 2015, 25% of married people had been divorced at least once before, compared to a much lower 13% in 1916. Having euphoric drug-like symptoms, it's not unusual to hear that being in love can be chemically addictive. Helen E. Fisher, a biological anthropologist at Reuters University, said in a TED Talk that romantic love is a very powerfully wonderful addiction when things are going well. That's because those hormones that your brain releases when you're in love are intensely euphoric, so much so that they can make you addicted to love and the person you're in love with. Still, love reduces chronic pain. It's not going to replace modern medicine anytime soon, but it could come in handy if you ever find yourself in some serious pain. One study conducted by researchers at the Stanford University School of Medicine found that the warm and fuzzy feeling creates the same response in the brain as painkillers without any of the harmful potential side effects. If things go well, if not, you could lose 50% of your assets. Also, being in a relationship positively shapes your personality. That thing that any mother tells her daughter that she cannot do when she sees a bad boy joy entering her life? Apparently, it is doable. Even the most pessimistic people can change for the better with a little bit of love in their life, at least according to the findings of one study published in the Journal of Personality. After following 245 young couples for 9 months, the scientists behind the study found that being in a relationship indirectly made neurotic partners more optimistic and self-confident, presumably thanks to all the positive emotions and experiences associated with the relationship. According to one study, honesty is the most important thing for a lasting relationship. When it comes to love and relationships, honesty is really the best policy. One study published in the Journal of Personal Relationships found that the more honest people are with one another about how their relationship is going, the more likely they are to last long term. Another love myth is that long distance relationships don't last. On the contrary, even though people might try to tell you that long-distance relationships can't and won't work, the research out there says otherwise. In fact, according to one study published in the Journal of Communication, not only are long-distance relationships just as successful as regular ones, but they are also more effective in building trust and satisfaction between partners. If somebody had to tell you, love and laughter go together. If you want to feel closer to your spouse, then consider watching a new comedy series together. In one study published in the Journal of Personal Relationships, researchers concluded that couples who laughed together were more supportive of one another and more satisfied in their relationship compared to their chuckle-free counterparts. And that makes sense. If you laugh at the same jokes, you think that you are thinking alike, you are becoming closer to your partner, and you have things to talk about. But if you don't laugh at the same jokes, a movie could do more harm. If you've ever heard the sentence, "Not tonight, I have a headache," you should know that being in love cuts headaches in half. If you suffer from chronic headaches and can't find anything to ease the pain, then love might just be the secret solution you've been waiting for. When researchers at the Stanford University School of Medicine gave subjects with chronic headaches a nasal spray with a dose of oxytocin, or the love hormone, in it, they found that 50% of participants reported that their head pain was cut in half after 4 hours, with an addition of almost 30% reporting no pain at all in the same time frame. So, love cuts your headaches. Also, it's found in the most unexpected of places. One survey of more than 5,000 travelers conducted by HSBC found that approximately 1 in every 50 travelers has met their soulmates aboard a plane, with men falling in love faster than women. The women are often perceived as more emotional than their male counterparts. One study published in the Journal of Social Psychology found that it's actually men who tend to fall in love and say "I love you" quicker. Though they don't know for sure why this is, the researcher theorized that this is perhaps because females are more wary of getting their hearts broken, or it's because men know those words will get them intimate faster. Still, being in love, truly in love, will save your finances and trips to the doctor. When the Health and Human Services Department analyzed studies that compared marriage and health, one of the shocking things they found was that married people reported fewer doctor visits and shorter hospital stays. The best logic for this is that human beings have been crafted by evolution to live in closely knit social groups, says Harry Rees, PhD, co-editor of the Encyclopedia of Human Relationships. When that's not happening, the biological system gets overwhelmed. Also, being in love helps you heal faster. When researchers at Ohio State University Medical Center gave married couple blister wounds, they found that the injuries healed twice as fast when the partners shared a close bond compared to those who were openly aggressive toward one another. It also lowers your blood pressure. Having high blood pressure has been linked to everything from heart disease to strokes. Luckily, one study published in the Annals of Behavioral Medicine found that simply being happily married contributes to low blood pressure. So don't forget to thank your husband or wife for keeping you healthy. In movies, love happens instantly. In reality, it grows in phases. When Harvard researchers closely examined the progression of romantic love, they confirm what anyone who's ever experienced the emotion has known all along. It develops in phases of intensity, beginning with an obsession and gradually mellowing out into a more mature version of itself. It also makes you more empathic and in touch with your own emotions. When you find someone who makes you want to be the best version of yourself, your brain responds accordingly. According to one study published in the journal Cognitive, Affective and Behavioral Neuroscience, the social connection that comes from being in a loving relationship activates the part of the brain that's responsible for selflessness and emotional processing. Love is not just at first sight, it's also at first scent. For both men and women, how someone smells and whether you're drawn to that scent goes a long way in determining your attraction, says relationship therapist Rhonda Mirad. That's all thanks to pheromones, chemicals secreted in sweat that can spur sexual arousal. The world's longest marriage lasted for over 86 years. According to Guinness World Records, Herbert and Zelmira Fisher, a couple that unfortunately died, still broke the record for the longest marriage in history back in February 2011, having been married at that point for a staggering 86 years and 290 days. Was there a secret to their success? No, the couple says, "There's no secret to our marriage. We just did what was needed to each other and our family." Talking about doing things, love can make you do things you wouldn't do otherwise, or you shouldn't probably do, like escaping from jail, invading another country, things you see in movies. Still, Joseph Andrew Dicknip, a prisoner in Arizona, broke out of his jail cell just to meet his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. Now that's love and stupidity. Today everything is online, including dating, but online dating is not new. Still, it works. If you've yet to find your soulmate on a site like Match.com or OkCupid, don't just give up yet. According to a 2020 Pew Research survey, 12% of Americans reported finding their spouse or partner on a dating site. Red roses are the flowers of love, with a reason. If you've ever wondered why you see so many roses around Valentine's Day, that's because the bright flowers are the official favorite of Venus, the Roman goddess of love, the version of Aphrodite from the Greeks. Love and lust should not be confused. Even on a brain level, they fire up different signals in different parts of the brain. Scientifically speaking, studies have shown that while being in love activates the region in the brain connected to empathy, pure lust is connected to the similar but different areas of the brain associated with motivation and reward. Lust is bad, love is good, love makes you live longer. First comes love, then comes marriage, and then comes living longer. According to one study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family, married individuals were 58% less likely to die over an 8-year period compared to those who had never made it to the altar. Kissing isn't just for fun, it serves a biological function, and it turns out that Cher was right. Scientists were also right. A study determined that people use early lip locks to determine whether or not a potential match is right for them, though women put more emphasis on them. The study also states that kissing is also highly valued by couples in long-term relationships as it helps to keep bonds strong. Love at first sight still happens. A 2017 study reported by Psychology Today found that love at first sight isn't always just a case of looking at the past with rose-colored glasses. Respondents did immediately report falling in love at first sight with potential partners, with men more likely to do so than women. Granted, those strong initial feelings don't encapsulate all of what romantic love is, but they can prompt a person to pursue something deeper. And after pursuing something deeper, as I said earlier, the feelings mellow out and the butterflies disappear from your stomach, with that being a good thing. You shouldn't live anxious all the time. That butterfly feeling you get in your stomach when you meet someone new isn't a sign that you'll be together forever. It's merely a psychological lust response, according to scientists. So there's no need to worry if you feel calm instead of jittery when your partner walks through the door. True love is a well-being experience that does not include nervousness and excitement, said neuroscientist Nicole Gravna, adding that dopamine and endorphins drop to only mildly elevated levels compared to the pre-relationship level after the 5-year relationship mark. And that's fine. And if you see somebody on the street that makes your belly all jittery, just know this: that feeling with that other person will also naturally fade away. Don't do something silly. Still, love has desire at its core. Even the word love at its origin means desire. It comes from the Sanskrit yubyati, which means desire. And the origin of loving words is really interesting. For example, lesbian comes from the Greek Lesbos, the name of a Greek island where a poetess, Sappho, wrote her poems to her lovers, female lovers. Also, speaking of Europe, European males subconsciously seek out women whose waist circumference is about 70% of their hips. Beauty icons such as Audrey Hepburn, Venus de Milo had the waist ratio of exactly 70%. Also, both by men and women, a symmetrical face is associated with fertility, extraversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. Men and women with highly symmetrical faces tend to have more lovers to choose from. Additionally, men with symmetrical faces begin to have sex 4 years earlier, have more sex, and have more affairs than their lopsided peers. Women also tend to feel better with symmetrical men. Since ancient Greece, the apple was a symbol for love. The Celts believed that the apple represented love because it lasted so long after being picked. Breaking up isn't easy, and breaking up with someone triggers activity in the same part of the brain responsible for physical pain. On the polar opposite side, antidepressants may help you in boosting your mood, but they also may compromise romantic love because they enhance serotonin levels, and higher serotonin levels blunt emotions and inhibit obsessive thoughts about the lover, both crucial components of love, at least early love. Some psychologists argue that you fall in love with a person that resembles somebody in your family, a mother or a father, that you didn't really get along well with, unaware, seeking to resolve these childhood relationships in adulthood. Studies show that if a man meets a woman in a dangerous situation, and vice versa, such as a trembling bridge, he is more likely to fall in love than if they met in a more mundane setting, such as in a post office. Some scientists believe that the advent of cooking led to healthier food, which in turn led to bigger brains and increased capacity to woo potential lovers with new forms of linguistic and artistic seductive flares, love being the precursor of language. Timing, just like in comedy, in love is everything. Individuals are more likely to fall in love if they are looking for adventure, craving to leave home, they are lonely, displaced in a foreign country, passing into a new stage of life, or financially and physically ready to share themselves or start a family. Timing is everything. And location. Also, women around the world are more likely to fall in love with partners with ambition, education, wealth, respect, status, a sense of humor, and of course who are taller than they are. Women also prefer distinctive cheekbones and a strong jaw linked to higher testosterone levels, and during ovulation women become even more interested in men with signs of testosterone. The Mexican chief Montezuma believed that chocolate was a love drug, so he drank 50 cups of chocolate a day before visiting his harem of 600 women. Our concept of soulmate or other half comes from the ancient Greeks, especially from Plato. He asserts in his Symposium that initially all humans were whole, hermaphroditic beings with 4 hands, 4 legs, 2 identical faces, 1 head, 1 neck, 4 eyes, 4 ears, 2 mouths, and both sets of genitals. When these beautiful, strong beings tried to overthrow the gods, Zeus split them in 2, men and women, and created the innate desire of human beings for one another to feel whole again. Still, love is not a guarantee that your marriage will last. There are some really funny factors, such as age. A husband who is 9 or more years older than his wife, or who marries before the age of 24, is more likely to divorce. Those who are in their 2nd or 3rd marriage, those who had a child before marriage, are also more likely to divorce. Also, finance is a key part. Factors not pertinent to success of marriage are the number of children or their ages, the wife's employment status, and the number of years a wife has been employed. There are a few bad stats around love. 40 to 70% of all homicides are committed by their lovers or spouses. In one of many polls, 60% of American men confess to being unfaithful, and that number is compared to only 40% of married women. The maple leaf is a symbol of love in China and Japan and in North America. It was often engraved on beds of early settlers to promote peaceful sleep and pleasure. The longer and the more deliberate a courtship is, the better the prospects for a long marriage. People who have intense Hollywood-type romances at the beginning are more likely to divorce. Romantic love lasts just over a year, perhaps because the brain cannot eternally maintain a revved-up state of romantic bliss. As romantic love wanes, attachment love, a more stable love, sets in. To keep the passion alive, experts suggest doing satisfying and exciting activities as a couple. Go skydiving, snorkeling. Women often feel loved when talking face to face to their partners, while men are cheerful when talking side by side and doing activities side by side, such as playing or puzzling. Still, love is stronger than lust. Romantic love drive is even stronger than the sex drive. Still, the urge to fall in love is, like sex and hunger, a primitive biological drive. In order to remain in love for a lifetime, therapists advise couples to listen actively to your partner, ask questions, give answers, appreciate, stay attractive, grow intellectually, include your partner, offer privacy, be honest and trustworthy, tell your mate what you need, accept shortcomings, give respect, never threaten to leave, say no to adultery, don't assume the relationship will last forever, and cultivate variety. Do stuff. There are a few funny observations around finding your partner. Males, for example, are more likely than women to be more flexible in their romantic choices when they are looking for short-term relationships. Women don't really do that. Though when they want a long-term mate, they become way more pickier. Suddenly they remember all those traits their mothers told them to look for in a mate. One of the greatest predictors of love is proximity. Physical closeness leads to increased emotion, and it's not unusual to hear stories of bosses falling in love with their secretaries. On the other hand, scientists now think that a critical time in childhood, between the ages of 4 to 6, boys and girls who live in close proximity lose their ability to fall in love with each other, perhaps preventing the destructive act of mixing one's DNA with close kin. Still, around 77% of the population believes that you cannot control the person you will fall in love with, and scientists suggest that most people will fall in love approximately 7 times before marriage. On average, men around the world marry women who are 3 years younger than themselves. In the US, men who remarry usually choose a wife 5 years younger. If they wait a third time, they often marry someone 8 years younger than themselves. And in closing, the heart, the common symbol for love, represents the wings of a dove, which was sacrificed in ancient Israel as a gesture of love, and which also served as a symbol of Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love. And with that closing argument in the favor of love, I leave you. Kiss your wives or your spouses in the morning, be appreciative, look each other in the eye, and just engage. It's really weird that we spend most of our days, of our existing time, separated from the person we love the most and the person that we fell in love by being close to. That's really, really weird. Of course, today we are in a pandemic and we work from home. Tell me in the comment section below, is it good for your relationship? That's all for today. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. I'd like to thank the last 40 people that subscribe to the channel. That's all. I'm Alex, and until next time, beware of the falling apples.